Morning, morning, Patriots. Me again, Shannon Fox here, the Motor Patriots 2 channel. Going to be a little bit of a long video, so please stick around. Got lots to tell you about. Some stuff going on with GBI Strategies. They've been busted. Have discussed them a few times in the past. That is one of the voting uh, ballot harvesting organizations that helped steal the election in 2020. Yeah, I said it, steal the election in 2020. We'll get into that. We'll get into a little bit of what Bongino had said in the past about it, and several other things that I thought were great. Great pieces of information to find out because this snowball is rolling downhill and is eventually going to crash these people into a bind with some prosecution. That's what I have to believe because more and more is getting exposed each and every day. More and more people are getting involved in the fact that their elections were tainted during the 2020, 2022, and 2024 at a minimum, but we made it too big to rig this time. But that doesn't mean that we got to allow this shenanigans to continue. We cannot allow the Democrat Party to fund organizations that do everything they can to skirt the law in order to get people registered to vote, including illegals on the voter rolls. And we got some news about that as well. So stick around, folks. We'll be feeding the homeless. This morning, I'm going to go shopping and spending $300+ some of it which came from some of my listeners that contributed to my channel. I've got groceries here at the house that I have accumulated this week from my job at a restaurant at my job that throws out food every Friday, and all the Scooby snacks that I get from the vendors at work when they clean up the break rooms. So it is going to be a huge blessing today or tomorrow for the homeless. Got lots of shopping to do. I'll be shopping for a couple of hours this morning, trying to figure out what's the best thing to buy for the homeless. I'm thinking going to buy them all some socks, bottled water. We've already got a lot of the food covered, but we're going to get them some canned goods that they can eat, save for later and eat as well. Just going to be a glorious day, folks. I will try to do a live today involving feeding the homeless as long as weather is permitting. Now, if it ends up being wet, like it was thundering earlier, so it may end up being rainy today. And if it does, I will do my shopping today and we will do the live together tomorrow. So we're playing it by ear right now. That's one to let everybody know. Thank you for contributing to my channel. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. And hopefully, I'm getting some people motivated to do just what I'm doing here. Go that extra mile to be kind. Just to help when you can with the little things, even if it just means cleaning out your cupboards once every 6 months and giving the stuff away that you're not going to eat to your local pantry at a minimum. Something like that. I just encourage that with everybody. I've been blessed so many times in the last month just because people now know that I am collecting food for the homeless. So I have got people coming from several different directions hitting me, whether it be coworkers or whatever, coming up to me and saying, "Hey, what can I do to help?" And it's been glorious, folks. And I'm just so appreciative to be able to help these homeless people. God put this on my heart at one point to start doing this, and my ability to do it has just come so easily. Now, just talking a little bit, explaining to people what I'm doing and what I want to do, and that's all a little bit of effort, and that's all it's taken. And now it's coming from every direction, and it feels wonderful to be able to help. God put it on my heart to go feed people once a year. I realized that wasn't the answer. Now I'm able, through His blessings and some great people that are helping, to do it regular now. I'm feeding the homeless about every 2 weeks on average now, and I'm not just feeding them a little bit. I'm feeding them hundreds of pounds of food. I probably fed I don't know how many hundreds of pounds of food to the homeless this year alone, just since I've started this job, and just hats off to God. Uh, Many blessings. And thank you for being a part of this. All right, folks, let's get into a little bit of news. I don't want to get emotional here. It does kind of stir my soul a little bit every time I get around those homeless people because I see just where they're at, and I remember being there myself at one time. All right, hopefully my audio is good today, folks. I've been having some audio issues. I need to get me a big microphone about right here. I've got a little snow globe ball thing, this thing right here, but you literally have to have the thing up to your face, and I don't want to have that snow globe right here, so I'm going to buy me a better microphone at one point. But we'll go ahead and get into the news now, otherwise I'll talk your ear off all day. These first couple of clips are remembering back when the Democrats liked things like those, especially when they were campaigning for their next election. People like Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, and even old Chucky Schumer in the past have made a many statements about how the illegal immigration is a problem, about how the economy matters, and so they need to do things like clean up the government with agencies like the Department of Government Efficiency. They didn't word it exactly the same, but they were talking about cutting waste, fraud, and abuse way back when. All of them were. It was a good campaign slogan, and maybe that's all it was. But truth be known, they sound a lot like Elon Musk's plans way back when. But now it's not cool in their minds to be on Team America. So they've done went from "We love the country" with their campaign speeches before Congress to a bunch of America hating fools that are getting rich on our dime, and that's just the facts, folks. They hate America for a couple of reasons, I have to believe, and it's mostly because they're greedy and they're on the wrong side of history, and they know it, and it probably doesn't help their position any in their own mind, knowing that they're on the losing team. It's just a matter of time. The house of cards may come crumbling down. Now, here is a take from old Chuck Schumer. I almost don't recognize him. This is so many years ago. Check this out. Bear with me. It's going to spook a little bit this morning. All right, it says in 1996, Chuck Schumer explains the number one reason illegals come to the U.S. so they can defraud programs like Social Security. Now, can you imagine Chuck Schumer saying that? I mean, today he thinks illegals voting is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, what changed about Chuck? It's the entire Democrat Party has changed.
I thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law, but let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. All over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find all this opposition. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, what I worry about is that this bill, which started out with good intentions, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is going to end up being the same kind of thing that the public gets angry with us on. We say we're doing something, and we do nothing. Because every time someone makes a rational and small proposal to get something done, people say, well, what about this hypothetical, that hypothetical, etc. I urge support of this amendment. If you believe you want to stop fraud in immigration, you have no choice but to support this amendment.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Well, that is a throwback moment from Chuck Schumer. That doesn't even sound like the same person. I mean, the voice is the same, but the conversation is not. Wow, Chuck Schumer sounded like he sounded like a Republican. Now let's listen to this clown as well. Wasn't that many years ago? He was touting some things pretty close to the same.
We had a tire case in which they were flooding us with cheap domestic tires or cheap Chinese tires. And we put a stop to it. And as a consequence, saved jobs throughout America. I have to say that Governor Romney criticized me for being too tough in that tire case. Said this wouldn't be good for American workers and that it would be protectionist. But I tell you, those workers don't feel that way. They feel as if they had finally an administration who was going to take this issue seriously. We had a tire case in which they were flooding us with cheap domestic.
So Obama was actually bragging about using tariffs that they put on China to save American jobs. That sounds like an America First Obama. I didn't know there was a such thing. He was in a presidential debate, so go figure. He was lying. Here we go. We got another. Let's see if this is the same clip or another one.
Of tariffs.
It's also proper for advanced economies like the United States to insist on reciprocity from nations like China that are no longer solely poor countries, to make sure that they're providing access to their markets.
The average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%, whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? The fact is that U.S.-China trade is a job loser.
Well, so
Now we're going to change up a little bit here, folks. This is FBI Director Dan Bongino called the 2020 GBI Strategies Mass Voter Registration Fraud Investigation a major story. I remember reporting on this about 3 times. Says, will he ever discover why was taken over by the FBI? So GBI was under investigation, and the FBI decided they were going to collar the case, and then it actually went nowhere. I remember that very clearly because GBI is in several states pulling their ballot harvesting initiative. So it says on October 8th of 2020, only 1 month before arguably the most hotly contested election in American history, Michigan State Police and local Muskegon Police Department uncovered a massive statewide voter registration fraud scheme by the Democrat-funded GBI Strategies. It says on October 8, 2020, only a month before the election, Michigan clerk Ann Mishk, I guess that's how you say her name, noticed a black female whose name was redacted from the police report dropping off between 8,000 and 10,000 completed voter registration application at the city clerk's office. It's a lot of votes to have for one person. The Muskegon Police Department was contacted and asked to investigate on 10/21. First Lieutenant Mike Anderson was contacted by Tom Fabius, Chief of Investigation, to Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel's office. And she's a tyrant, for the record, if you don't know. It says, according to the Michigan State Police report, Mr. Fabius asked for Michigan State Police assistance with a joint investigation to alleged voter fraud being conducted by Muskegon Police Department and the AG. An investigation task force was formed and an investigation was initiated. Michigan State Police identified key suspect, dropped off between 8 and 10,000 ballots. She was arrested and detained by the Michigan State Police Office during a traffic stop. The key suspect named in the report had a warrant out for her arrest for a non-voter fraud related offense and was taken into custody where AG Stephen Morse interviewed her. Let's go on down a little bit, do a little more scrolling. Says here's a short clip of the interview where AG Inspector Morse informs her that they are taking her into custody, or they're talking to her instead of arresting her. Now, this is the key GBI strategy suspect tells Michigan's Attorney General Dana Nessel, investigator Stephen Morris, she doesn't know who pays GBI to do the work they're doing. She also said they had several offices in Miami, Michigan, Philly, North Carolina, and Iowa. Bad news, folks. Morse tells the GBI Strategies employees who allegedly, let's see what it says here. Give me a minute, it's going to scroll. I should have had this page open already. It says Morse tells the GBI Strategies employees who allegedly turned in hundreds, possibly thousands of fraudulent applications in Michigan. That's why we're talking to you versus arresting you. People just don't go breaking the law without a reason. So they're trying to find out who set her up to do this. They're trying to get the little fish to get the big fish. It says, why did Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, another tyrant, keeps this statewide investigation in a secret from her clerks. The FBI took over the investigation and claimed 4 years later that the investigation is still ongoing. So the FBI took over the case because the Secretary of State and the Attorney General of the state were involved in the whole GBI strategy getting paid fund, and they're in the process of getting busted. And so the FBI says, we'll take care of it for you, and then the case goes away. I remember when the story broke on the Gateway Pundit, when it happened.
Who's paying GBI?
No, and I want to find out.
If you do, you need to let me know. There's got to be some reason behind it. And if they're having, so if they spend $68,000 in Miami.
Right. All these other offices. So it's like, I do not know. It's like, I have no answer. I want to know hell. I'm confused, like.
Mm-hmm. But that's why we're talking to you versus arresting you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Well, yeah, I'm sure you do. But it doesn't make any sense. Because
it don't.
You already.
They're playing dumb cop games where they're trying to get her to admit something by saying, you're not under arrest. We just want to talk to you. Just come on in. We're not arresting you because we don't know that you're the problem, but we know there was a problem up above you. We're just trying to figure out who your bosses were and stuff like that because we don't want you to get in trouble for what they actually set up by design. That's a old cop game, interrogation game.
Turning in fraudulent voter application
registration. Not damn sure be doing that no more. That's like
we would like to know. It is against the law. So we would like to know what is the reason, because usually people don't go breaking a law without a reason.
Yeah, like
that's why we're talking to you, because we've got to figure out
what's going on,
why this is happening.
I don't know. Just hired in compliance department, moved up in a company, got a little $500 bonus. So my room is going to be paid for, just park my car, have a company car, and I go up to Muskegon. That's all I know, and I was happy.
Sure.
So
I was happy. They gave me a company car and a paycheck and marching orders to do this illegal action. She didn't have no problem with it. She didn't know it was illegal. It was just a job. You get the picture here, folks. Now, let's go back here to scroll back down, get a little further into it. Now, Bongino went in deep on this conversation as well. He breaks it down quite a bit about GBI strategies, and we'll listen to some of that together as well.
There's no easy segue into this story. This is the most important thing we're going to talk about today.
Let's get about a minute and a half in where he actually starts talking about GBI strategies. All right, here we go.
Failure. And instead of looking at the big picture, no, it's not your fault, folks. I'm not blaming it on anyone in particular, but people I trusted too. They tried to take us down these paths, and it screwed up everything. And it wasted. Yeah, some of them did it on purpose. I don't know if they wanted media hits or what they wanted, but they screwed up everything, because there is zero doubt in my mind that there was a large degree of fraud built into the mail-in system, because it was the first time we did it on a scale like that because of COVID. There is zero doubt in my mind. Now we're starting to see some stuff go down. It's a major story out of Michigan about the 2020 election. I had to let it simmer a little bit until the receipts pop. Here's some election reporting from this entity called Black Pack. They paid this LLC, GBI Strategies, $11.2 million in 2020. Hat tip Kanakoa, by the way, for the highlights on this, who did some homework on this too. Paid $11.2 million in 2020 to go out and register voters. By the way, another $450K was kicked in by Biden for president. This is an enormous amount of money. Folks, presidential, Senate, congressional, I don't care what you're running in. $11.2 million to register voters is a ridiculous amount of money.
Absolutely.
Now, we have the public reporting. So to be clear, this is not a rabbit hole. There's no dispute the money changed hands. Now, Gateway Pundit broke this story. Hat tip to them. This is from today, but they broke it yesterday. This is just a follow-up. So apparently in October of 2020, only a month before the 2020 general election, this is if you want to, by the way, if you want to read this whole story, it's in my newsletter, bongino.com/newsletter, or you can just go right to Gateway Pundit. I don't need the clicks. The newsletter, it's right.
Now, this particular clip we're watching of Bongino is an older clip, so some of this information is still not available, or you'd have to go back a little further to find it with Gateway Pundit. But there is lots of articles out there about GBI strategies if you just want to go down that rabbit hole.
Right there for you. It's free to sign up. But they note in October of 2020, only a month before the election, Muskegon, Michigan City Clerk Ann Meesh noticed a black female whose name was later redacted from the police report dropping off between 8 to 10,000 completed voter registration applications at the city clerk's office. Wow. She was really busy. Clerk Ann Meesh immediately noticed the stacks of registrations included the same handwriting, non-existent addresses, and incorrect phone numbers. Again, none of these facts are in dispute. I don't know about you folks. Put a yes in the chat if you think this is kind of a little fishy and strange. Put a no if you think this is perfectly okay. 8 to 10,000 voter registration forms, the same handwriting, non-existent address. Okay, I think it's unanimous. Sounds strange to you? Put up the next one. This is the next screenshot from there. Here's where the story gets even weirder. But this is why I get so mad at some of the stuff that happened in 2020. Because I believe what happened was standard old school voter fraud. Request a ballot on your behalf or someone else's, intercept them in the mail, and then send them back. It wasn't complicated. Everybody was, the Kraken. What? You didn't need any of that. None of this was complicated. Here's part two to this. A Michigan State Senator, Ruth Johnson, who herself is a former Secretary of State, so she knows a little bit about this, told Gateway, my estimate is over 800,000 ballot applications were sent to non-qualified voters in Michigan, including many individuals who moved or died, or even some who were underage or non-citizens. Many were sent to people who moved out of the state. Now, dude, please, God, I'm not using his name in vain. Do not make the same mistake. We can't assume all 800,000 are bad. You can assume, however, based on the New York Times' own reporting, that when you get mail-in balloting in mass like this, that you're going to get double the rejection rate and double the fraud. The New York Times, you said that wrong, Dan. No, I didn't say that wrong. The New York Times reported on voter fraud in the past in mail and error rates. Here's the article right here. Go to the newsletter today, bongino.com/newsletter. Sign up. It is right there. It says, remember when the New York Times cared about voter fraud? Print this article and highlight it. Listen to me what I just said. Print it and highlight it. So when your friends tell you that the biggest mass mail-in balloting experiment in human history in 2020 that happened because of COVID, that it was the safest in American history, ask why 10 years ago the New York Times said mail-in fraud was no good. Mail-in voting was no good because of fraud. Ask and show it to me.
I'm going to back up right here, folks.
Please, God, I'm not using his name.
I remember this story well about GBI strategies because one of the things that happened was they got busted at a stash house. Several people. It says guns, burner phones, fake voter registrations. The buried Michigan voter fraud scandal. GBI strategies director Gary Bell had 70 organizations operating in 20 states in 2020 tied to the Joe Biden campaign. There was a stash house that was busted. They said there was a bunch of long guns there. They had body armor. It was almost like it was a terrorist type. They were setting up a terrorist cell or something, but in reality, it was probably an Antifa stash house of some kind. And I'm almost guaranteeing you that they were involved in the whole ballot harvesting thing because they were more paid actors or activists for the Democrat Party. Of course, the Democrat Party uses the people that are in their protests and they get paid to show up to these Biden and Kamala Harris rallies. These are the same people that are getting paid to ballot harvest and things. They're people that are on the Democrat payroll. That's what I believe, folks. Just my opinion. But that's what we got. Now, I've got a little bit more of a update on this story. It will be one of the last things I play for you. Yeah, we don't went to that one. Yeah, she's playing dumb. The detective's trying to goad her into telling the truth. Yeah, so this is a mass problem that is now under investigation. Hopefully, Pam Bondi will look into this, or have, per se, Dan Bongino look into this, considering he knows all about the GBI strategy story. Now, listen to this here. This is really crazy as well. This involves human trafficking. Um, Actually, let's go do the update first. We'll go do the Gateway Pundit update on Dana Nessel, and then we'll go over to that. Bear with me, folks. I'm jumping around. Let me see if I can find the story real quick. Dana Nessel is in the news, I believe it is, or is it Jocelyn Benson? One of these tyrants. Let's see here. Give me just a second, folks. See if I can find the story I was looking for. Here we go. It says complete corruption. Michigan far left Attorney General Dana Nessel accused of illegal prosecution against her 2022 GOP opponent, Matt DePerno. And I sure wanted Matt DePerno to win there, and because he was fighting for election integrity, and she beat him out just by a little bit. And now we're going to find out what really happened. So, in the state that we know the GBI was paying ballot harvesters in cahoots with the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and I'm assuming the governor as well, if they're allowing all this stuff to happen, says the Democrats who ran for re-election as Michigan's Attorney General in 2022, far left Dana Nessel has been prosecuting her Republican opponent Matt DePerno because he tried to investigate voter fraud by getting access to them dumb onion voting machines. I remember that very well as well. This is what lawfare looks like with an unconstitutional appointment of a political ally to persecute a political opponent's illegal funding, all to attack your former opponent, said Matt DePerno. Yeah, they went after Matt DePerno in the worst kind of way. They tried to lock him up for questioning the election. Said he was not allowed to question the results, even though it was a close race. Says this is complete corruption. This is lawfare in action. DePerno said during a recent call, "What are they doing here? Is not about justice. It's about punishment. It is lawfare." His legal team has called on the Mexican state legislature to intervene, demanding subpoenas for communication between Nessel and Hilson, records of premises and inducement made to Hilson, budgetary records that show how this prosecution was funded. They're going to get to the bottom of a lot of the stuff that is going on, folks. It is fixing to get ugly. I hope we get people going to jail for the election stuff as well. I believe that's coming. Hopefully, the human trafficking thing is not just being handled up on in Europe, like I reported on a couple of days ago. Hopefully, that will come into fruition over here as well, where we start hunting down and tracking down these not just illegal aliens, but these pedos that are in our country, and we know the names and we know who these people are and where they are. It's just a matter of going and getting them. Like that story I broke the other day had 1.8 million suspects on KidFlix. That tells me there's a lot of people in every country that are probably fixing to have to start answering some questions. Hopefully they'll get that done. It's a lot of people to investigate. It says new billionaire Democrat donor Antonio Gracias, former Democrat billionaire donor, now working with at Doge, says his Biden administration border policies handed human traffickers $13 to $15 billion a year, bringing in future Democrat voters. So Biden spent 13 to 15 billion a year, so that's what $60 billion they spent roughly during his 4-year tenure. And Doge employee, former Democrat Doge employee, finds all this, and this is all about pushing the illegals in for their vote. Says we give 13 to 15 billion a year to human traffickers. That's what this system did. We looked at the voter rolls in 4 states. We found thousands of these people, non-citizens, on the voter rolls, and we found many of those people who had voted. In one state in particular, well over 1,000 voted. Yeah, I think this was a move to import voters. Dang. Let's go ahead and listen to a little bit of that.
But you got to realize we gave $13 to $15 billion a year to the human traffickers. That's what the system did. And the money magnet that attracted these people here, it wasn't like it was some crisis, that, environmental crisis. The money magnet attracted these people, and many of them died on the way up. I mean, think about what that's like. Think about the human crisis.
So this is a human suffering, the human rights tragedy. You have people who are getting sold into slavery and being abused at the border. At a minimum, every American should be against that.
Everyone is. Every American is. Look, man, this turned my stomach. When I went to the border and I heard the stories, it turned my stomach, man. We are America, okay? We protect people like this. We don't give incentives to people to pay traffickers. If you pay $20,000, I heard $20,000 to $500 just across the border, $20,000. I mean, where does someone who's coming from Central America or Africa get 20 grand to pay the traffickers that are walking them across the border? It's not free to walk up Mexico, okay? It's controlled by the cartels. What happens? I mean, they got to pay that back. How do they pay it back? They're basically indentured servants. This is terrible. This isn't what we do in this country.
Now, if you do want to watch this full interview, all these video clips I'm bringing to you on my X channel, I've reposted them so that way anybody wants to go back and watch the full thing, it's available over there as well. But it's a fact, folks. The Democrat Party has been in the human trafficking business, in the fentanyl business, in the paying off the cartels business, in the promoting the NGOs, promoting war, promoting the destruction of this country, promoting the transgender movement, promoting theft on every level of our government, and promoting hatred from within, even at the youngest of levels. They're even trying to do it at the elementary level. And I've just mentioned a few of the problems we've got with the Democrat Party, folks, and I could list some more. But the point is all this is finally being exposed. Every bit of this rotten, evil, sick-minded mindset that has been hiding in the shadows, including the theft of our country and our civil rights, our rights as citizens to want America first. I mean, people have been censored for the last 4 years. There's another one. But my point is all this is coming out. And the American people will never again feel the same about the way the Democrat parties have run our government. The American people will never feel the same about how they've been lied to by most of the media. We're waked out. We know what's going on. Even the lefties, even Democrat donors see the problems because the dam is breaking. The stress cracks are too much. And now all the information is starting to come out. And hopefully it will be enough to get a lot of people to come over to our side of the fence, because most Americans can't promote any of these policies. I don't know how Democrats vote Democrat knowing all of these things. They're either in the dark, blind, or crazy. And I don't know which it is. Maybe just brainwashed. But we'll go ahead and get into this last couple of clips here, folks. I know this is getting kind of long. I got some shopping to do this morning. Going to go hook the homeless up. I love it. I love it. I'd share with y'all that Trump retweeted this morning.
Everything Trump and Musk are doing is exactly what people voted for in November. Democrats can't comprehend this. They were completely rebuked at the ballot box, but they can't see it. Their narcissism won't let them. Everything Trump and Musk are...
That's absolutely the truth. Their narcissism will not let them accept the truth yet. They're still in denial and don't understand what happened to them. They lost because the majority of people don't want their policies. Therefore, we took our country back. We made it too big to rig. Enough people showed up because they were sick of the mess we're in as a country. Thank God for Trump, Elon Musk, and the entire conservative team trying to fix our country, including the podcasters and the listeners out there and everybody who's doing anything in an